Hey everyone, welcome to Lesson 1-2. Here's an image of the document that you'll need in order to follow along with today's lesson. It's located in our Google Classroom. If you're able to print it, it'd be really handy for you to have so you can take notes along with me. If you don't have access to a printer, that's fine as well. You'll just need some paper and pencil to take notes as we go along together. Pause the video here for a moment to give yourself a chance to get all the materials that you need in order to be successful in today's lesson. Once you have everything, come back and hit play.
Alright guys, so again, welcome to lesson 1-2, which is all about multiplying and dividing integers. The objective of this lesson is that you should be able to multiply and divide integers with a 90% proficiency rate without using a calculator. Again, remember we're trying to rebuild your number sense. The stronger your number sense is, the stronger you are going to be in Algebra 1, and the easier it will be for you to find your mistakes, catch them, and correct them when we're working with more complex problems. Alright, so to start off today's lesson, we are going to just review the same note that you saw in Lesson 1-1. When working with number sentences, be sure to capture the number and the sign that is immediately in front of it. This is going to be key for absolutely every single problem that we cover this year. Similar to the rules for addition and subtraction being the same deal applies for multiplication and division. The rules to multiply and divide are exactly the same. Riddle me this. Do you guys know this game? It's called tic-tac-toe. You may have played it before with friends or family or siblings. But let me tell you this. None of you, and I mean none of you, I mean absolutely none of you, could ever beat me or see me in a tic-tac-toe game. Like, never. Absolutely never. Alright, so here's why you can never see me in a tic-tac-toe game. You and I play a tic-tac-toe game, right? But instead of playing with the traditional X's and O's, this time we're going to play with positives and negative signs, right? And as I said, y'all can't beat me because I win absolutely every single time, and I win by playing on the diagonal with plus signs. You have ended up playing everywhere else, but instead of plus signs, you're playing with negative signs. And funnily enough, as simple as this tic-tac-toe game is, this tic-tac-toe board will remind us or tells us our multiplication and division rules for the number system. So the way it works is this. If I multiply a positive number by a negative number, my answer should be negative. If I multiply a negative number by a positive number, the product should be negative. If I multiply a negative number by a negative number, the product is positive. And if I multiply a positive number by a positive number, my product is positive. Same deal if I go this way. If I multiply a negative number by a positive number, my product is negative. The beauty about this board is that I can read it going left, right, front, back, top, bottom. It doesn't matter. I will always get the same result. So let me show you going in another direction. We'll go up and down. If I divide a negative number by a negative number, I'll get a positive quotient. If I divide a negative number by a positive number, I'll have a negative quotient. If I divide a positive number by a negative number, I'll have a negative quotient. Don't believe me? Try it for yourself. So again, on this side, what does this tic-tac-toe board mean? It just gives us our rules for what to expect our answer to be
to any multiplication or division problem.
Alright, so now that we went over the rules, let's go ahead and practice them. Here are some examples down below. If I have 9 times 5 I know that my product is going to be 45. Now I'm going to look at the signs. Remember to capture the number and the sign that's in front. I just multiplied a -5 by a +9. So if I multiply a negative number by a positive number, it tells me that my product should be negative. So my final answer to this question is a -45. Let's try the next one. I see that there's a -3, and I also see it's being multiplied by a -7. If I go back to my board, a negative number times a negative number should result in a positive product. So -3 times -7 will result in a positive 21. Here's the next one. We have a +6 multiplied by a +8. If I go to my board, I know that a positive number multiplied by a positive number will result in a positive answer. So that means a +6 times a +8 will give me a product of +48. So we just practiced our rules for multiplication. Let's look at the same rules for division. I have a +54 being divided by a +9. A positive divided by a positive will give me a positive quotient. 54 divided by 9 is 6. And I know again that my quotient should be positive. Our next one is -30 divided by -10. Yes, this fraction line means division. So I know that a negative number divided by a negative number will give me a positive answer. So -30 divided by -10 will give me an answer of +3. Last but not least, I have -132 divided by +11. So if I go back to my chart and I look for a negative number divided by a positive number, I know that my quotient should be negative. And I know that 132, or -132, divided by a +11 will result in a quotient of -12. Now that we're done with these examples, let's move on to the critical thinking question down below. Remember the double negatives in yesterday's lesson of adding and subtracting integers? Explain in your own words why this happens. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to formulate your own thoughts. To help you with your thinking process, I'm going to give you an example of what this question is referring to. So consider the problem, and I'm purely making this up with random numbers, but consider this problem. 3 minus -8. Consider this problem. If you said that two negative signs next to each other indicates the operation of multiplication, and you know that the product of a negative number and a negative number results in a positive number, then you're correct. So let's walk through this. I see 3 minus -8. Notice how this negative sign is sitting directly in front of this parentheses. This indicates the operation of multiplication. And again, as in our table, I know that a negative times a negative will give me a positive answer. So what drops out of this parentheses, instead of a negative 8, it will be a positive 8. The first number in this number sentence will remain the same. And I know that 8 plus 3 is equal to 11. So let's capture our thoughts on the side. As a quick recap, when you multiply a negative number by a negative number, it gives you a positive result. Alright, so let me zoom out so you guys can see a picture of what your entire note should look like. And now that we're done with this, you guys are tasked with completing the work on the student page. Again, try and complete the questions on the student page without using a calculator. You can go back and double check your work with a calculator after you've tried it on your own. And don't forget, once you're done, go ahead and upload a photo of your work to the Google Classroom assignment. I'm glad that you guys stuck through this lesson with me. Again, if there's anything that you're unsure about, please go ahead and drop your questions in the Google Classroom, or you can drop them in our Padlet parking lot. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.